that's an echo. Welcome to this week's vlog. I'm Courtney and this is my life of projects. I'm a knitter who also spins, and I do some quilting and embroidery as well. So grab your project and stitch along with me as I go through my week. If you've been here for a while, you will notice that I'm not in my usual location. I am on a work trip, and I'm sorry for the echo that's happening in this hotel room right now, but it's about 7 o'clock in the morning and I am in Philadelphia for a work trip, and I'm going to go grab a coffee, and then I've got a meeting from 7:30 until probably about 5, and then we have a dinner. So I won't get a lot done today. I might do some knitting during the meeting because I don't have anything to present. But tomorrow I'm hoping to get to go to 2 knitting stores after the meeting wraps up here in Philadelphia. So I'm excited about that. I did get some knitting done on the plane yesterday, and yeah, poor choices were made. So I had my Brancusi mitts, and because they're a small project, I was like, this is portable, I'll do it on the plane, totally fine. Yeah, cables and stitch markers and a cable needle and having to use a pattern while on a 50-minute flight, not my best plan. So I messed up the cable repeat in one spot, but I'm probably not gonna fix it because they're for me and I don't care. It's not that noticeable, it's just doesn't twist the way it should. Kind of makes an S instead of a cable. It's fine. It's fine. That's my motto, is it's fine. But I worked on those somewhat, almost lost the stitch marker, had to like scrounge around like the seat to try to find it. I did make some progress. I got the thumb gusset moved off onto, I usually use a big safety pin instead of a waste yarn. I just find it easier because then I have kind of a sturdy implement to put these stitches back on to a needle rather than having to use a tapestry needle and yarn, waste yarn. So that's just what works for me, but I at least made it past that part. I've done, I think, one repeat of the pattern. I did a little bit last night. It's super dark in the hotel room, as all hotel rooms are. So I filmed a little bit of it, but it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark in the hotel room. But I got work done on those, but today I'm going to take my sock knitting because that's pretty easy to walk around while I'm at the meeting and knit on while I walk. So yeah, let's go grab some coffee and then head over to my meeting. On Thursday, after my meetings wrapped up, I headed over to the first of 2 yarn stores. The first one I went to was Loop, and they have such a beautiful store and an amazing selection. I had way too much fun looking around at all of their awesome yarns. had a really hard time picking out what I wanted to get.
Loop actually has their own in-house brand of yarn, and they had a really great color selection. And I did end up picking up one skein from their brand as well as a couple of others. Then I also have a swap coming up at the Knitting Guild, and Loop had a bunch of notions from Coco Knits, which make the best notions. So I looked at those for a couple options for the holiday swap. Next, I headed over to Yarnforia, which is another yarn shop, which is pretty close to Loop, so it was really easy to get to both of them. They had an adorable window display and so much fantastic yarn. One of the yarns that I absolutely fell in love with was this one by Earth, and it's their harvest collection, and it's all dyed with plants, seeds, with roots. This one was dyed with cherries, and it had to come home with me. After 2 days of meetings, I was starving, so I ordered DoorDash from my absolute favorite restaurant in Philadelphia, which is Hip City Veg. They make a vegan chicken sandwich that is absolutely phenomenal. So I had that, and then I did some more work on my Brancusi mitts before I had to catch my flight.
I'm wondering if I'm going to get through this without a kitten running away with yarn.
All right, let's see if we can get through this now with the new microphone. We'll see how that goes. All right, we'll see how far we get before a kitten comes and tries to steal a skein of yarn again. It's been a couple of days. I'm back from Philadelphia. I've had some time to catch up on stuff around the house, catch up on work things. Even though it was a work trip, there's still always more work to do. But I thought I would show you what I got at both of the yarn shops in Philadelphia that I visited and tell you my thoughts about each one of them. So, as you saw, the first shop that I went to, the first shop that I went to was Loop, and I will have all of their information, their website, and any social media I can find linked in the description box. So definitely check them out and give them a follow. And if you're ever in Philadelphia, make sure you stop by their store. All of the staff at Loop was absolutely wonderful. There was someone else there that was visiting from out of town and just sitting and knitting instead of hanging out in their hotel room. So I could totally understand that, and I really appreciate that local yarn stores welcome anyone in to sit and knit, and even if it's not a knit night. So Loop had a really wonderful space and so much amazing yarn. There were so many things I wanted to take home. One of the things that I got was a skein of their house brand of yarn. This is hand dyed in Philadelphia. Whenever I go to yarn stores that aren't my local store, I love to find things that are either locally made, locally dyed from a local artist or independent dyer. So this was super exciting to find, and there were so many awesome colors. But I ended up getting this in the charcoal colorway, and this is a superwash merino silk blend, and I'm gonna call this a DK weight. It is from their tendril line from their house brand of yarn. I'm thinking I'm probably going to make this into a cowl because merino and silk, that's perfect for something that's going to go around your neck, something that you don't want to be too itchy. So I'm going to have to look on Ravelry and find some patterns that would work for this yarn. But I really, really love the color. It's a great neutral and a darker gray that will go with so many things this winter. So really, really excited to start knitting on that sometime. So the next thing I picked up at Loop was 2 skeins of the Wool Folk in the Fleck line. So this is a gorgeous camel color, and it's superwash merino with a Donegal tweed. I really love the flecks of black and cream throughout the camel. Again, a really great neutral. It will go with a ton of things. I'm thinking that might also be a cowl, but I could also see making a hat out of that. I've been looking for like the perfect camel color to make both a hat and a cowl, so I have something to wear this winter, and I really, really loved this line of yarn, and it's so, so super soft. I love most everything that Wool Folk does, so I'm really excited to start knitting on that as well. And then from the Wool Folk collection, I got these 2 colors. I got a gray and then a navy blue. This is for a hat for a friend. So I'm hoping to get this done for a Christmas present. I'm thinking I'm going to do some type of colorwork hat, probably something Fair Isle with not a whole lot of pattern, probably a gradient that switches from one of the colors with a little bit of blend in the middle to the other color on top. Should be a pretty quick knit. This is a braided style of yarn instead of the traditional twisted plied yarn. So I really like working with this, especially for hats and mitts and things. I feel like it's a little bit more sturdy. And the only downside to this is I find if I'm using wood needles, it's really easy to split this yarn. So I always try to use metal needles when I'm working with this, but I'm probably going to cast this on tonight because I would like to get this done for a Christmas project. Then, as I mentioned, we also have a swap coming up at my knitting guild. So we're going to do a Yankee swap where everyone brings in a gift. Our limit was $20, so it has to be in a brown paper bag, so you don't know what's in each bag, and then we take turns. There's some swapping, there's some shenanigans that happen, but we had a $20 limit. There are only 2 stores kind of in the area that the Knitting Guild covers, so I figured most people would have something from there. So I was excited to get something while I was in Philadelphia for the swap so that there would be something a little bit different that people might not have in their collection. So I got a couple different options. The first option I got was at Loop. So I got a Loop project bag. It has their logo on it, drawstring bag. What knitter or crocheter or spinner doesn't need another project bag? So I got that, and all for under $20. I also got a measuring tape with Loop's logo on it. It's one of the little retractable ones. It has the button on the back to retract the measuring tape back in. Really nice. Again, all knitters could use additional notions like that. And then I grabbed a set of the Cocoa Knits split ring markers. I have a set of the Cocoa Knits Flight of stitch markers. I absolutely love their stitch markers. I think they're some of the best out there, and I have used them on a ton of projects. I don't know if I'll ever use other markers because these are some of my absolute favorites. So for under $20, for like $19.90, I got all three of these items. So I think this would be a really fun swap bag to open up. You'd have three different things, and at least the two things from Loop you're not going to see at other yarn stores around here. So that's one option for the swap, and the other option I got at Yarnforia. After I left Loop, I went over to Yarnforia, and the two yarn stores are about a mile apart, a little bit less, but it's in a really beautiful part of Philadelphia. It's about a 25-minute walk if you want to walk it, but there's lifts you can take. It's pretty easy to get from one to the other. But Yarnforia is another really, really cute yarn shop in Philadelphia. It has a different vibe than Loop, and they have a different selection. Some of the things that they have are the same, which is great because you want to have your staples at whatever yarn store you're closest to. But they had several brands that Loop didn't have, and Loop had some things that they didn't have. So I'm glad I went to them both because I found a new to me yarn that I absolutely love. First, the other things that I got some of this Lucky Tweed because my spouse really loves tweed. So I have knit them hats in a couple different colors of tweed, but I've not done a green one yet. So this is the Lucky Tweed from Kelborn Woolens, and it's 100% merino. So I'm going to knit them a hat, probably not until next year out of this. I have too many other projects going on. So I got a skein of that, and then it was under $20. So I got a skein for the swap as well, and this is in the colorway Fog. It's gray with some white and also kind of a lightish blue tweed. I really thought this one was pretty, but I may end up keeping this for myself because I would like a hat out of this. So I think I might end up doing the other items that I got from Loop for the swap, but I've not decided yet. We'll see. And if you're in my knitting guild, then now you won't know what's in the bag. So I'm not going to reveal which one I'm going to pick. Then I found this brand of yarn, which I mentioned earlier in the clips, is dyed with different nuts, fruits, berries, roots, leaves. Super, super cool. They had a chart, and maybe I will pop it in. Maybe I'll just put it over me. Yarnforia had a chart with all of the yarns and what they were dyed with, so you could see them kind of all at a glance and see that Time makes a kind of grayish blue colored yarn, which was super, super cool. So several of the plants that they were dyeing with gave you colors that you weren't really expecting. So it was really, really cool to see on the chart all of the different colors without having to pick up each yarn and read the label. So I really loved that. And I kind of want all of them because I absolutely love natural dyes. I just think it's such a cool process. A long time ago, I worked with an indie dyer. I just helped her out in her shop. I didn't do any of the dyeing. I just skeined yarn, but I saw the process and what goes into it. And I have dyed a little bit of yarn at home, just playing around in an old crock pot. But seeing all of the different colors and shades that you can get from plants is just so super cool. And I still can't get over how vibrant this pink is from cherries. So I absolutely love this. And I really, really love the base too. It's super springy and stretchy, and I may have had a small accident. So I may have accidentally also gotten a sweater quantity of the blue-gray yarn that's dyed with Time. So I had to mail that one home because there was no more room in the suitcase because, yeah. So there was not room for a sweater quantity. So that one is in the mail. It should get here soon, but I'm really excited. I have picked out a pattern, and I'm probably going to order one or two more skeins from this line because the pattern that I really like for it has some color work But yeah, the second that I saw this base and that it's dyed with plants, which is just awesome, I knew I wanted to make a sweater with that. So I really think that 2023 is going to be the year of me knitting a lot of sweaters because I have several that I have sweater quantities of yarn for. Got to work on that. But that was my trip to Philadelphia. I had an awesome time. I really enjoyed both of the yarn shops that I went to. I wish I'd had more time to just sit and knit because the staff and owners at each shop were super, super cool. Such a welcoming environment in both shops. So highly recommend checking both of them out. Again, all of their information is in the description box below. And make sure if you're in Philadelphia that you swing by and support those local shops. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed going yarn shopping with me in Philadelphia. I had a blast. I bought way too much yarn, but that's okay. I have plans for all of it. So leave me a comment. Let me know what projects you're working on, or let me know which one of these I should do for the swap for my knitting guild. Should I do the 3 items, the stitch markers, the tape measure, and the project bag from Loop, or the single skein of yarn in the tweed from Yarnforia? Which would you rather pull out of a Yankee swap bag? What would you try to hang on to if you were doing a holiday swap with your knitting guild? So let me know which of those I should put in the swap bag, and I'll try to remember to tell you after the meeting in December which one I put in there. But I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you next time.